because she's actually going to talk to you and give you a tour and a lecture of how the apples are packed and graded and everything, and she's got to do that. And so she's the one going to be talking to you. When we get through that, I'm going to allow you plenty of time to shop. They've got a bakery here that makes the best fried apple pies and everything. They've got a lot of things here, and you're going to have time to do that after she does the tour part. Okay? This is a place I couldn't get people to leave last year. And I eliminated 3 stops because of this. She's on where she is.
My name is Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
There she is.
We've got it.
Sandra can start as well. Good morning.
Coston.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone?
Good.
Glad you're here. I see some of you are already enjoying fried apple pies. That's wonderful. Well, welcome. We would like to explain a little bit about our farm, if you've got a minute, okay? And then we'll take you back and let you see the grading machine work, as well as a quick tour of the cooler, for as long as you'd like to stay out there, you know. But we're a 4th generation apple orchard. My sister-in-law Sandra and my husband's family started the business. Actually, their grandparents and great-grandparents started the business, and their dad took and really expanded it back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And then my husband started helping once he got out of college and took over the management later on. And so we've been at it a while. We grow about 22 or so varieties of apples. How many of you know Red Delicious, Rome Beauty, Golden Delicious? Those are the standard apples. In Henderson County, that was for years and years the apples that were grown for processing, as well as packed apples. Red Delicious, Goldens, Romes, and Stamen, and then later on Granny Smith. And we used to sell a lot of apples to the processing companies, to Gerber, National Fruit, White House to make applesauce and so forth. And when the companies were all local in Arden and down in Lincolnton and based in North Carolina, some of them, a lot of the growers in Henderson County grew a lot of processing apples. But over the years, those plants have closed and relocated back up north and back to the Midwest. And so the growers have decided that we needed to diversify, grow more retail apples, more fresh apples, and so that's what we've tried to do. My husband built this building in the mid-'80s and started selling apples here, and then we have changed it a little bit. All this used to be open porch, and we have over the years expanded the gift shop. It started with that little section down there, and then it came here, and then we decided, well, people were in and out of the porch, so we just enclose it all and kind of climate control it. So we've done that. We have a pick your own orchard in the back where people can actually go pick their apples off the tree. Most of us, my age and yours, know about picking apples, but little kids don't even know how to pick an apple or where they come from. So it's a good education for them. And their parents will bring them, their grandparents bring them, and so over the years we have built up a pretty good base of pick your own. We've got about 6 varieties or so right now ready in the pick your own orchard. Golden Delicious, Rome Beauties, Fuji. We have some Cortland, some Mutsu, and some of those names you may not know, but I'll quickly go through them. The most popular apple this time of year is probably still the Honeycrisp. It's a reddish green apple, real crisp and juicy. Very, very popular. It's a great pie apple. It's good for eating, but it's not a sweet apple. So it's a sweet tart crisp apple, and it keeps well. The Jonathans are a tart apple, red apple. It was developed up in New York, of course, and it gets fairly large, but some of them are small, depending on how many's on the tree. Good baking apple, tart apple for eating. This one, I'm just going to go down the line. Shizuka is our newest apple that we've just come into production with those last year. And it looks a lot like a Mutsu. And a mutsu, or excuse me, correct pronunciation, mutsu, but in the South we put the Southern twang to it, so mutsu. And it looks a lot like a golden because they both started out with golden as one of the parents. And so this is a golden delicious, of course, a sweet apple, and then they developed the mutsu, which is an Indu and a golden delicious, so a little more tart, a little better keeping apple, doesn't shrivel quite as much as a golden would. And then the Shizuka is a sister to the mutsu, and it's a good apple. It comes in about the same time, but it has a little bit thicker skin, so it doesn't bruise quite as easy. But a really good keeping apple. Both of these are. And then Jonna Gold is a golden delicious and a Jonathan together. So, you know, kind of a sweet tart flavor again. On down here we have our sweet apples. The early Fuji, which is a really good sweet crisp apple. We use it for pies as well as sauce, and it's a great eating apple. And then later in October we'll have the traditional Fuji that'll come out, which gets a little bit redder. These are kind of a reddish green. Golden Delicious, I mentioned, very old apple, very good apple, good for making pies and everything. My grandmother and my husband's mom, they didn't cook with anything but Goldens. That was their apple. They loved that. Gala, good sweet apple. Galas come in different colors. These are red galas, but there's also one that has an orange-green cast to it, and so there's about 8 or 10 varieties of galas with different colorations, but a good sweet eating apple. Empire, if any of you know about the Macintosh from New York, this is part Macintosh. It's part Red Delicious and part Macintosh. Real pretty white flesh, crisp eating apple. Good. It doesn't keep that well down in the south as well as it does in the north, but it's a good apple. And then the last one on the table here is a Cortland. And a Cortland is also a Macintosh mix. It's a Ben Davis, which is another older apple, and a Macintosh. Real pretty white flesh, a little more tart to the flavor, but still pretty sweet if you let them ripen up. And my sister-in-law's favorite apple, she does a test on the Cortlands. She does the smell test. Yeah. And if it doesn't smell to her, they're not right. So that's her favorite apple. But these are the ones we have in now. Later on we'll be getting some Red Delicious and more Rome Beauties, Granny Smith, Cameo, that's an October apple. And then the last apple we'll pick will be the Pink Lady. And that's about the last of October, 1st of November. And that one keeps all the way through the winter for you if you've had those before. Good crisp apple. Okay, so any questions about the retail part of it, the apples?
I just want to tell you.
Yes, sir.
The absolute best pie apple is the Jonathan.
Is the Jonathan. You like the Jonathan for pies. Okay. Different strokes for different folks, right? Yeah, my personal favorite is still the Mutsu. It's a great apple. It dries well, it keeps well, it's a good tasting apple. So everybody has their favorites. Okay, all right, we're going to walk back to the warehouse part, and there's some stadium steps here if you want to stand there or stand at the end. We're going to run the grading machine. So, of course, when the apples get picked off the tree, they don't come in boxes, and they're not shined up, and they're not all sized and sorted. They come in these 20-bushel bins out here, these wooden bins. That's what our pickers pick in, and so those will come in from the orchard, and then we'll load those on the grader and run it through. And we size and sort for color and defects and try to do a pretty good job of grading if we can. The grading machine, as I told somebody before, is an antique, kind of like the rest of us. It's got a little age to it, but it still works, and we've been using it for how many years?
Probably
60 years or so.
It's the same time my granddaddy did.
Right.
I worked those kind of machines in the 50s and 60s.
Right. Okay. So so we're going to walk back here, and the guys will get it ready for you if you want to come this way. Those will be put on the large trucks, the tractor trailers and the 10-wheelers, and carried to the orchard. And then, of course, everything is taken out into the orchard by tractor, set out. And then the guys, when they pick the apples, they'll use like a picking bucket or a picking sack to pick. It's about a half bushel basket or a bucket. And so they'll pick their fruit off the tree. They take this, then it opens up with the little strings, and then